Everyone, for today's lesson, you will talk about how to make logic using code. So the first episode of this section will focus on if statement. Okay, so before I move on, I have my folder being created up. This is my JavaScript file and this is my index.html. Okay, so I use the script tag to connect the JavaScript file to my HTML. Okay, so if you don't know how to connect your JavaScript to HTML, you can check my previous tutorials about how to set up JavaScript with HTML. Okay, so I believe by now you know how to do that. If not, you can check it out. Okay, and I have my browser here in the console. This we are going to display all the stuff. So the first one we talk about is called the if statement. Okay, so let me give you a particular example. That, for example, if you are creating an app for organization, okay, who deal with customers, and you want to check, okay, if the amount of goods bought is maybe more than $400, you can give the person's discount, okay, or you can. So this is what they call the logic. You have to make logic in your code. So the first one to talk about is called the if statement, okay, and this is how you write. First of all, you write the if and then your bracket and your curly braces, okay. So this bracket is in between. The bracket is we are going to what? Evaluate the conditions. So the bracket contains the conditions, okay, and the conditions must be true. If it is true, the code here will run, okay, between the curly braces will run, okay, but it is false, the code here will not run. So the first one is that, so assuming, let's create a variable at the top, say var, okay, and I will say amount is equal to, let's say, $120, okay, for example. So we will say that if amount, okay, if the amount is equal to $120, okay, we are comparing our variable here to this $120 here, okay. Okay, so I can say if it's equal to $120 or whatever, we want to run our code here, console.log. I will say that, yeah, it is, okay. So let's see. So if you go to the browser, refresh it, and you see that you have our it is, because the conditions which is inside our bracket evaluate to true, okay. So the code here will run. So assuming that this amount here that we created here, if it is equal to 200, let's see what will happen. You refresh it and you see nothing, because the conditions evaluate to what? To false. Therefore the code here won't run. So what about if the code here, the condition does not meet or does not evaluate to true? What are you going to display? So you can add additional else if statement, okay. So you can say else and if, okay, and your bracket and your curly braces. Else if the condition again, amount is equal to 120. So I can see that console.log say the amount is, so let me concat with the amount, okay. So let's see, console, refresh it, and you can see that the amount is 120. So all what you have to bear in mind that for the if statement, you bring your bracket, and in between that bracket is a condition, okay, and the code between your braces will only run when the conditions evaluate to true, okay, otherwise it will run. So you can append or add more conditions using else if. So assume you want to check another condition again, or maybe else if nothing else means if all these conditions evaluate to false, then this code will run. So let's say console.log here. I'll see that nothing matches. Okay, like so. So let's make this one equal to 300. Okay, because this amount over here is not 300, therefore this code will definitely run. So let's see what will happen in our console. Refresh it and we see nothing matches. Okay, exactly, that's my site. Okay, nothing matches. Okay, so that's how basically we use the if statement. Okay, so let's make it a more example of if statement and see. Okay, so let me comment this one and let me declare a variable, say var, let me say total amount. Okay, total amount is equal to 500. Okay, so what you're doing is that we want to create an application, okay, that will add, let's say 20%, or let's say 20, okay, to the total amount if the person's name is equal to Joe. Okay, so let me make here, I will say demo. Okay, and let's say that demo create an app that will add $20 to the total amount of $500 if the person's name is Joe. Otherwise add only $10 to the total amount. Okay, so like so. So first, let's see. So we are checking two conditions, right? Only one condition. If the person's name is equal to Joe, then you have to make the calculations for the amount. So if the person's name is Joe, it means we add 20 plus 500, which is equal to 520. But otherwise, if the person's name is not equal to Joe, therefore you add what 100. Sorry, $10. So let's say declare variable here. Let me say that total amount, which is equal to $500, right? Good. So now let's say let me check var person name is equal to Joe, because this we are going to compare to. So we see that if person name is equal to Joe, okay, therefore you add what is called the total amount is equal to total amount plus what, plus 20. Okay, so now we can console the log our total amount here. So let's see the console. What will happen? Refresh it and boom, you're good to go. Else, if the person's name is not equal to Joe, else what you do, you say that okay, then we will say total amount here is equal to total amount and plus only what, 10. Okay, and then we can say console.log our total amount here. So let's change this name to, let's say, Ben, and see what will happen. We get this code will never run because it's false. The variable here name is not equal to Ben, so therefore this code will never run. Therefore this from line 24 up to 28 inside here that will run. So let's see what will happen. So go to the browser, refresh it, and definitely we see 510, exactly as I was talking about.